joining our workshop today on funding your business ambitions. We're going to share with you more about the different options to fund your business and why debt can actually be a good thing and how to present your business to get the finance you need. I'm Yvonne Balfour, Chief Marketing Officer at Ultimate Finance. In my career, I've been part of a management buyout, grown and then sold a successful marketing agency, and I've worked in the corporate world for Sainsbury's and Sainsbury's Bank, and always had a foot in the door of financial services throughout my career. I'm now at Ultimate Finance, a specialist asset-based lender with a simple goal: to support business ambition with flexible funding solutions. So declaring our position early in this session that we are a funder, and we are going to talk about the type of funding we provide, but also the wider funding landscape for you too. Our focus is helping you to know how to present your business in the best way to get funded, whatever type of funding that might be, and hopefully giving you the inspiration and confidence to get funded too. With everything going on in the world, securing your cash flow is key. We're not here to speculate on where interest rates will end up, nor what support the government might look to provide. All of that is still being debated, even today. What is clear is that the banks are retreating, pulling products whilst they figure out the pricing for longer-term finance and adapt their risk appetite. In this void, alternative funders like us and other names you know, like Funding Circle, will generally fill it to provide the cash flow business needs. Banks are still very much the go-to for many businesses who aren't aware of the alternatives. That's why we're here today, to raise awareness and correct any misconceptions. Let me introduce my colleagues today who will join me in sharing some practical advice, hints and tips. First is Sarah, who's been in the industry for over 16 years, focused on helping businesses use their funding facilities to support their cash flow and growth ambitions through good times and more challenging times. And Bethan, who has over 20 years industry experience and runs our broker desk for asset finance, working with our sales team and brokers to deliver new funding to businesses. But before I hand over to the team to share their thoughts with you, I wanted to share a story from a networking dinner just a few weeks ago that demonstrates why it's imperative for companies like us to come and talk to you, female entrepreneurs. A small group of us gathered for an informal networking dinner hosted by a friend who thought it would be a great idea to get a few like-minded leading ladies together to see how we might help and support each other. As part of our introduction, each of us had to offer one thing we could bring to the group that might help them, and share one thing we were looking at currently that they could help us with. Good questions. Bet you're thinking, how would I answer that? What a great way to learn about 7 people really quickly and set off the conversation for the evening. Brilliant. I had 2 conversations that evening where experienced, confident business owners were not aware of the funding options available to them or their management team beyond their banking relationship. One had never heard of the type of funding that would be available to them from a funder like us, and the other had, but had misconceptions of today's products. The idea that they didn't need to find large amounts of cash to invest in the business, and in fact, as both are successful businesses, they could use the value tied up in invoices and assets within the business to fund their future. Sure, there are some guarantees required, but that's to be expected, and if they're confident in their abilities, not much of a risk. They're not remortgaging their homes or using their life savings. What these conversations demonstrate is that the conversation about funding doesn't start with funding. It starts with getting to know the person, the business, the vision and ambition, and then into the needs and objectives. From this point, the funding requirements become much more obvious and often easier to fulfill. With that in mind, let me introduce Sarah, who's going to talk a little bit more about this topic.
Hello everyone, my name is Sarah Furs. I am one of the heads of relationship management at Ultimate Finance. I've been in the industry for about 16 years, 15 or 16 years, and those of you who are doing fast maths there work out that was in 2007, which was pretty much when the bottom fell out of the finance industry. So that was a fun start, but I did learn a lot, so there's the positive. Thank you so much, firstly, for taking the time to listen to me. I'm just going to spend a few minutes talking to you. It was a scary time in 2007, but I know a lot of you would probably take that over what is happening now. There is such turmoil going on, and I am not here to tell you otherwise. It's a scary place out there. And I'm really sorry to bring up another scary thing that does put the fear of God into a lot of people, and that is the word debt. And I am sorry for swearing so early on into this, and I'm recording on a Monday, so it was a bit of a gloomy thing to say on a Monday for a lot of people, but I just wanted to use this opportunity to turn that perception round as much as I can. Debt really is such a misunderstood concept, but it can be really simple. There are so many highly capable businesswomen that I come across in my day-to-day life that, you know, don't push themselves forward because they're so terrified of this thing. And I guess because the association is failure, debt and failure seem to have this unfair association, women in particular shy away from it because obviously a fear of failure, particularly prevalent in women, which is a whole other subject that I will leave for now. And in my research on doing this a little presentation for you, I did find some interesting stats, which was that 76% of UK businesses use their cash from operations in order to, you know, sustain and grow. But more interestingly, is that 80% of businesses will fail in the first 2 years, and a huge proportion of those reasons are as a result of lack of cash. So it feels a bit strange that there is these two statistics where the borrowing rate is really quite low, but the failure rate is, you know, telling us otherwise, like, you know, really quite high. So it's like, why are people not borrowing more? And I really would like you to think of your business journey today as businesswomen. And I wouldn't be surprised if there are times you have thought, oh, I'd really love to go for that contract or that project, but thought, maybe next year, there's not enough cash in the business at the moment. But good cash can make or break your business, and it doesn't have to just come from your operations. There are so many things you can use to generate cash and help your business be a success. And a lot of you, I imagine, if you have had those kind of you know, ambitions, perhaps you've turned to your bank only to be rejected, and that can be so disheartening. And then you think, oh, maybe I'll look at the alternative market, when in fact the alternative market could be more suitable to you, especially because a lot of the alternative products come kind of with hand in hand with like an expertise that can like guide you along the way. So within the alternative market is kind of an umbrella term called asset-based lending, and that is something we at Ultimate Finance do. And just to simplify what that is, it is essentially getting cash out of the assets that are in your business and using that to grow or you know, acquire new businesses, or you know, just use it for your, you know, working capital day to day. And it's things like well, I guess thinking of your balance sheet, thinking of your company, what assets you have. So invoices, there's usually a lot of cash tied up in those because you'll have customers on, you know, paying on 30 days. Your stock, you have to, you know, a lot of that's big outlay to get your stock. Machinery, plant and machinery, property, all of these products, all of these assets can have associated products. So for example, using your invoices, you can get the cash almost instantly, rather than waiting 30, 60 days for your customers to pay. And then the cash is that, you know, those facilities are just repaid when the customer repays the facility. And so there is still funding available, and it's there for you, where like some of these this cash is sitting there when you could be using it. And as I said at the beginning, most associate lending with failure, but it really can be something that can set you free and set you on the a really good growth journey. So, for example, we have a client at the moment that has a trade finance facility with us, and trade finance is essentially where you we purchase the stock for you on your behalf. It's complete products based on your purchase order, so finished goods, and usually overseas, but it can be UK too. This particular business was purchasing glassware from a French company. And those of you following the news at the moment would be aware that the French government has put a cap on gas usage and there's penalties for excessive use. I won't elaborate, but essentially it's meant that this supplier is reducing production between November and February this year. And as a result, it's meant that our client cannot get the product between those months. So instead, what they've done is kind of increase the order that they would place early on in order to ensure continuity of supply with his customers. And he's done that using a stock, kind of a trade finance facility, so we can buy that stock for him. So had the finance facility not been in place, that would have been potentially the end for that client. And that was nothing that they'd done wrong. It was just unfortunate circumstances, and that's where it can be used to great effect. And using finance shouldn't just be, when you're kind of desperate. Planning is absolutely key. So no one was going to predict COVID, the Ukraine war that are suddenly happening. There's so much going on. Planning for these kind of circumstances is crucial. And this particular client that I just mentioned, they had the facility in place, but they weren't using a proportion of it. And then they were able to quickly get the funding as a result. So I really am here to tell you that finance and debt is not to be feared. It is to be embraced in the right circumstances, of course. But I do feel it is our fault as lenders, to be honest, that there's this kind of perception has been created because there has been a responsibility in the past, and that debt is, so feared. And kind of, I guess, the bias for a lot of people, and I mean, it's probably mine too. If you think of, a bank manager or someone lending, you just think potentially a fat man in a suit smoking a cigar, calling the shots. But I really hope that I don't embody any of those characteristics, because it, is something that I would help you with, and it's something that people are starting to not accept anymore. The landscape really is changing, and they should not accept it, because lenders really, and particularly here at Ultimate, we just want to be there as your funding partner, someone to give you the right advice and actually say to you, we might not be the right people for you. I would suggest going to A, B, or C for your lending. Being there as your kind of cheerleaders, advocates, and kind of loving to see you succeed is really something that I guess you should, really kind of somebody you should want to work with, because that's what we want to be. But there are other things as well, having like finance associated with, you can get additional sort of, I guess, support from external partners. Especially we have partners that we use and we put them in place with people if they need it. So for example, we have a client at the moment that was a winner of the pandemic, supplying Meals on Wheels, as you can imagine, and turnover increased hugely, needed some support with the back office and kind of processes because of this sudden explosion in sales. We put them in touch with somebody, and now has reduced costs and increased the facility with us, which is just a win all round, really. And saying all these things to you, there may be people sitting there thinking, oh, that's great, but there's no chance I'll qualify. I only started trading yesterday, or my debt's really quirky, they'll never touch me. That is not the case. You will find a lender that will be able to give you some support and some finance, even if you've only been trading a day. And if your debt is as quirky as a Mad Hatter, you really will be able to find somebody to support you. So it's just, having those conversations and knowing your purpose and understanding where you want to be really is something that I would advise you to do, and just have those conversations. And it just really, finally, just want to say congratulations to all of you and business women out there, and thank you for being, role models to us women. You really are the trailblazers. I did send a card that I saw in a newsagent's to my sister a couple of weeks ago, who has also started her new business, in the last year. And it just said something on the front that I want to say to you as well, which is the world needs more women like you. Thank you so much for listening, and I'm wishing you all the best of luck with your business journey.
Hello everybody, so I'm Beth. I'm from Ultimate Asset Finance. I've been at Ultimate now for just over 4 years, and as Yvonne mentioned earlier, I've been in the finance industry for just over 20 years now. I started off at Ultimate running the broker desk, and that's now a team of 5 people, and we work really closely with our introducers, our brokers, to help support them get some finance for people like yourselves who run businesses. I've worked in car finance to solicitors practices before being here at Ultimate in asset finance. So what I wanted to talk to you today was about our top tips when you're applying for finance for your business. Before I do, I wanted to touch on today and what we're here for, which is women in business. What I want to ask is this question: why is it that men are more confident than women? They have no issues in backing themselves and about their achievements. It could be things like the latest football game. Like, oh my God, did you see how good I was at that goal? It was brilliant, wasn't it? That last shot I took in that pool match that won us it. Oh my God, I was absolutely brilliant. And they do not give any thought as to how they may be perceived. Whereas women, we are simply a lot less boastful. Just being asked to talk about our successes makes us go all kind of weird. I was asked to write a blurb about myself, and I was like, no, I don't like it. So we care a lot more about what other people think. So what I did for today's event, I spent some time looking into some theories and statistics about women in business, and I put a few of that bits of that information into my presentation. And then we did a rehearsal, and Yvonne said to me, that's not you, you're not being authentic. So I thought, she's right, so I'll do what I tell everybody in my team to do. And I gave my head a wobble, and I thought, I'll only talk about what I truly believe in. So that's what I'm going to do. This is what I think. Men and women are different. We both have our strengths and our weaknesses, and it's important that we learn to understand those, accept them, accept what we're good at and what we're not so good at, and then work with those strengths. You see, what I believe is this. I read something and I thought, yeah, I agree with that. Traditionally, there's been a difference in how boys and girls are brought up. Boys are allowed to fight, be loud, be a bit more risky. Go on, go climb that tree, I used to say to my son. Swing on that rope. It means then they generally have a tougher attitude to one another compared to girls, who we like them to be kind and gentle, caring, and a lot less risk-taking. Watch you don't fall off there, I'll say to my daughter. We've all been there. We've all done it. So it results in men being more resilient than women. They don't take setbacks as harshly as women do. Whereas women are a lot more careful, less resilient, and we certainly take setbacks more harshly than men do. I mean, it doesn't mean that men don't doubt themselves. Of course they do. The big difference is this: they don't let that hinder them as often as women tend to do. So I'll go back to what I was saying a minute ago. How do we take all of this information about, oh my God, men are this and women are that, and kind of carry the weight of all of this on our shoulders as women, and then be amazing in our businesses and be really positive about ourselves and what it is that we do? We work with our strengths. What are women great at? We're great at presenting, don't judge me, teaching, relaying stories. We are the best gossip. Have you ever heard women standing at the playground and gossiping? We're brilliant at telling stories. And besides which, we've all been reading to our children, our nieces, our nephews for years, bedtime stories. So there's one top tip that I want to give you for your business. When you're applying for finance for your business and you go to a finance provider, tell them your story. When you apply for finance, there's a standard list of requirements that they need. Most finance companies need them. Straightforward list, dead easy, yes. Boring? Yes. Very boring. They all want the details of your business, the rationale, the rate, the term, bank statements. Some want 1 month, some want 3 months, some want a year. Okay? We can provide all of this information to a finance company, no problem. But it's how you provide that information and present that information that makes the difference. Don't be the same as the last applicant. You know, you might be surprised to hear that not all finance companies use algorithms to decide if you can or can't have your finance that you've applied for. Some, like Ultimate Finance, are what we call storybook lenders. We want to know about you and your business. Some examples of what people might say in their applications are things like this. I'm a well-established business. Great, fantastic. What you should be saying to somebody is, I've got 35 years experience in the industry. I'm well known within the area and I'm running local contracts with this person and that person. Yeah. I'm a homeowner. I hear that all the time. Fantastic. I'm really pleased that you're a homeowner. I'm a homeowner, but I only bought my house last week and I've got no equity in it whatsoever. You've got loads of equity in your property. Tell me about it. I've owned my property for 20 years. There's no mortgage outstanding and it's currently worth X amount. That's what we need to hear as a finance company. We need to hear your story. So you've made a small profit this year. Okay. But why? You made a small profit because your balance sheet shows that you've invested a lot into assets this year. And it's a slightly lower profit than last year, but you're expecting this year's profit to be amazing. Tell me that. Your job is to take the boring facts of an application and turn it into the best story that you've ever told. Why would you not tell this story? It's your success. You should celebrate it, you should own it, and you should tell it. Thank you.